Male gametes. That's what makes me male.
No, your sperm don't make you male.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality, in truth. Okay.
Whose truth are we talking about?
The same truth that says we're sitting in this room right now, you and I.
No, you're not listening.
All right, welcome back to Real Talk Corners in the building. Got my co-host here, Bella. I was about to say Sabrina.
Bella, Sabrina,
Today she's Bella.
Right.
Why? Because we always got some shit to say. That's why we're back.
Glad I didn't pay for it. Is there anyone willing to give me a straight answer? Ideally, somebody with a bunch of medical degrees on the wall. Dr. Grossman, thanks for talking to us. You're a psychiatrist, medical doctor, and you've done a lot of work in child psychiatry. What is transgenderism from a psychiatric standpoint?
The best way to approach it is by speaking about gender dysphoria, which is an intense loathing and discomfort with one's biological sex. They exist anywhere between 1 in 30,000 people and 1 in 110,000. It's important to distinguish those people from what's happening much more recently, which is kids that never had any discomfort or dysphoria, as it's now called, with their biological sex. And then quite suddenly, as preteens or as adolescents, they come out and they announce that they are gender fluid, or they start to question their sex. So first, let's define the terms, sex and gender.
Yes, please.
Sex is biology. Sex is unchanging. It's based on chromosomes. 99.999% of the cells in the body are marked either male or female. Gender, on the other hand, is a perception. It's a feeling. It's a way of identifying. It's an experience. Okay, that's subjective.
It sounds like what you're saying is that if a man is male but thinks of himself as a woman, he's not actually a woman?
That's correct.
Male gametes. That's what makes me male.
No, your sperm don't make you male.
Then what does?
It's a constellation.
In reality, in truth. Okay.
Whose truth are we talking about?
The same truth that says we're sitting in this room right now, you and I.
No, you're not listening.
If I see a chicken laying eggs and I say that's a female chicken laying eggs, did I assign female, or am I just observing a physical reality that's happening in the world?
Does a chicken have gender identity? Does a chicken cry?
Well,
Does a chicken commit suicide? Let's
What does that have to do
frame
with-
it, because you're trying
The chicken has sex like any
a
biological
chicken has
organism.
an assigned gender, but a chicken doesn't have a gender identity.
So we assign female to chickens when they lay eggs?
We assume they're female if they lay eggs.
Now, I was told that really everyone agrees with the current approach to gender and transitioning kids and all of that. And if you don't agree, that you're a dinosaur and a bigot. So are you a bigoted dinosaur?
I'm not bigoted and I'm not a dinosaur. I am rooted in reality and in science.
Whose reality?
There's one reality.
The first race that I competed against a transgender athlete was during my freshman year. And once the gun went off, the two transgender athletes took off flying and left all of us girls in the dust. Throughout all 4 years of high school, I was forced to compete against biological males. I only competed against them in the sprinting events, but I raced against these athletes over a dozen times throughout the years, and every single time I lost.
Did they inch you out of medals that you would have won otherwise, or trophies you would have
They
won?
beat me out by 20 meters out of medals and qualifying spots. I missed out on qualifying for New England's. I had to go in the long jump and the 4x200 meter relay, so I was forced on the sidelines in my own event. And if they were not there, I would have been able to qualify. So I missed out on so much throughout my high school career.
Did they win all the events or almost all the events?
Between the two of them, they won every single event they competed in.
How does that feel?
It is so frustrating and heartbreaking because we elite female athletes train so hard to shave just fractions of a second off of our time. And going into races knowing that we will never be able to win.
Feels like all that work gone to waste.
It does. After so many losses, it just gets to the point of, why am I even doing this? Why am I keep training so hard and sacrificing so much just to place third and beyond?
They've banned transgenders
Mhm.
on a lot of the sports teams and stuff because of this. And for anyone who doesn't think there isn't like boys don't have a one up on girls, they do. They are faster. The biology says that there's young boys that aren't even 18 that can beat Olympic women because of the how they are.
Men always say how women's soccer sucks. Then come to the field and try with us.
The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world at the time, lost 7-0 to a team of 15-year-old boys.
And it's sad because, you know, we talk about women's rights, and girls' rights fall into those women's rights of how that women fought to just get a place in the world, fought to just be acknowledged, fought to just have those sports teams and be able to have their place, and then have all of that taken away because now we have men that we really don't know if they're just doing it to fucking win, because, you know, a lot of them were low ranking in the men's field, but then jump over to the women's and they're number one. And it
Exactly.
is for you to bust your ass as a woman in a woman's sport or a woman's field of something, and then you have this person whose your biology is not a woman, and then you're just winning shit. That's a slap in the face on so many
Mhm.
levels. And I wish that more transgender people understood that instead of getting offended by it. You know, like someone's trying
Exactly.
to take something from you, and it's not. It's like, let's just be fair. If you
Exactly.
are a man, you went through, or you're a boy who went through puberty, go be on the boys' team and do what you do, because it's not
Mhm.
fair for you to compete with a girl. It just isn't.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true. It's like like people forget to be considerate, be understanding, be okay. Like, they know that if you are put up against a female, you're gonna win. Like you said, you will probably in third place on the boys' team. But when they're putting you against these females, you're number one. Like you as a person
Right.
should know that and say to yourself, you know what, I don't even want to play against them, you
Right.
know? Because
Right.
to me, you're cheating.
You are.
Like, you're cheating. Let's just be honest. You're cheating.
Yeah, and you only care about yourself in that moment, and you're not having that sympathy like, damn, these girls work hard. Let me not. Because normally, all of these boys, when you look at what they ranked in when they were on the boys' teams, they were low. I mean, 500, 40
Mhm.
something. And then they jump on the girls, and all of a sudden, they're top, they're number one.
Mhm.
And it is wrong. It is definitely wrong, because we know when it comes to the science is there. And just because you say you're a girl does not change when you get to running. It doesn't change your lung capacity. It doesn't change your muscles.
Mm-mm.
We know as women, a man and a woman could both be overweight and work out together, and that man will get skinny and
Mhm.
lean real quick before the
Mhm.
woman will, because of his makeup, because of his genes, because of his
Mhm.
biology. I don't know why I keep fucking that word up, but
Mhm.
you know, So that's the part where I started to be like, that's a problem. But I'm glad that they started to change it. And again, I'm glad that they started to ban it, even in elementary, because a lot of people were bullshitting and going off on it. There's a difference because even I remember my kids being in like T-ball when they were like toddlers and they all played together. But once they got to a certain age, they they took them apart. Girls were with
Mm-hmm.
girls, boys were boys for that
Mm-hmm.
reason, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be fair.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
And it's not to be mean to your kids. It's that it's not fair to those kids on those teams to have to
Mm-hmm.
race your son, just because he hasn't gone through puberty, but he's still faster than all of them. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not fair. So I'm glad that they changed that, because that was wrong. It's a lot of girls who ended up like missing opportunities and in where they could have won, they could have got those trophies, they could have been on those just that having that all their hard work and then having
Mm-hmm.
to just be second, third, knowing if those two guys weren't on the team,
Right.
they could have been number one. That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Case in Connecticut, there were two male track runners,
They were
transition,
trans girls.
right, and who decided that they were going to race against the girls. And you look at those individuals, you look at their times against the men, against the boys, so they were kind of middle of the pack. And then they're racing the girls, and they're, first and second place. Is that indicative of some kind of unfair advantage that those individuals might have against the girls?
No, it's not indicative of an unfair advantage. And I think part of the proof of this is that more transgender girls are coming out in high school and still playing sports. And they're not winning. The Connecticut case is the exception. It got a lot of attention because those two trans girls performed well, but there are many, many
Yeah.
more trans girls competing in sports and they don't excel.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, whether or not you win a game is not is about how hard you work in your practice, and most of us aren't going to win. And that goes for transgender athletes too.
Let's go, girls.
The norm is that transgender youth don't win that much in sports games.
Alana McLaughlin was very appreciative for Provost to take this fight. I don't know how appreciative is now, but she got a couple punches in.
It is very much the exception when a transgender young person does win.
And the tap!
And it's because there's not really an advantage to being trans. Only a few people are going to lead the pack.
There are some slight differences, but does it translate to a competitive advantage? I think you'd be very hard pressed to prove that.
If there was a big advantage to being transgender in sports, then we would see transgender women totally dominate.
And over the last half of the pool, nobody will touch Leah Thomas.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Transgender swimmer Leah Thomas breaking barriers and records. But in a new article, Sports Illustrated calls the college senior the most controversial athlete in America.
Leah obviously helps us do better, right? Leah's swimming really fast. Leah's performance helps the University of Pennsylvania swim team. The feeling of winning doesn't feel as good anymore because it feels tainted. There was a lot of things you couldn't talk about that were very concerning, like a locker room situation. If you even brought up concerns about it, you were transphobic. If you even bring up the fact that Leah swimming might not be fair, you were immediately shut down as being called a hateful person or transphobic.
But there's never any conversation. The coaches don't sit everyone down and acknowledge what everyone's really upset about.
So Penn actually brought in people high up in the athletic department to talk to us. They brought in someone from like the LGBTQ center. They brought in someone from the psychological services.
So you're upset about what's happening, and so
Yeah.
you need psychological help.
Yeah. And they told us in this meeting, they said, look, we understand there's an array of emotions, but Leah's swimming is a non-negotiable. However, we can help you make that okay. That's what we're here for.
So you're anonymous for this interview. Why did you decide that's you can't have your face out there saying these things.
They've made it pretty clear that if you speak up about it and you say anything negative, that like your life will be over in some way. Like you'll be blasted all over the internet as a transphobe if you come out, and then you'll never be able to get a job. Like anyone who wants to hire you will look you up and see you're transphobic, and your life will be over.
Crazy.
Let's say that I identified as a woman tomorrow, and I wanted to go into the same locker room where you are. Should I be allowed to do that? As long as I identify that way?
I don't know. I just feel that other women would be uncomfortable by you walking in there.
Ella dice que qué tú piensas acerca de que los hombres que son transexuales usen baños de mujeres. ¿Tú crees que está bien? No. Pero dilo.
No, porque tienen bien.
Controversy at a health club in
mean-
Koreatown over the issue of gender.
That's right. Video of spa goers complaining was posted on social media.
I just want to be clear with you. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage. Your spa, we spa, condone that. Is that what you're saying? Like I asked. It's so he can stay there. He could stay there. What sexual orientation? I see a dick.
Police identified the person involved as 52-year-old Darren Morager of Riverside County. Morager, who has been a registered sex offender since 2006, now faces 5 felony counts of indecent exposure.
Hello, I'm Congressman Mark Takano. Trans Month of Visibility is a time to recognize the strength, diversity, and resiliency of the transgender community. Together, we can make our country and our world a more accepting.
In him, with him there, and you cannot tell me that he's not being paid by the pharmaceutical companies and all of the people behind that's making money, because he is so into letting his surgeries. I have seen so many debates like in Congress, in the House, and he's the main speaker that is for this shit of your child getting cut up, your child getting these surgeries. And it's like, why would you be behind this? Why would anybody be behind a child going through this type of stuff? Surgery for anybody is crucial, and it's draining, and it's hard, the recovery. Why would anybody be so quick? And unfortunately, for those of you who think Mark Takano is behind you guys and he's all about the movement, no, he's being paid. He is being paid. And I wish I could find proof on that shit. I'm sure it'll come out. He's being paid to be the speaker and act like he's for you guys, but he's getting paid to say that shit. And you could just, he gives me the creeps when I see him. You got this feel when he's talking. I've seen him in so many debates. I'm like,
place by speaking out against transphobia at the source and supporting the trans community by getting the Equality Act signed into law.
Congressman, thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. You are the first member of Congress who's a member of the LGBT community and also a person of Asian descent. You're also a big proponent of the Equality Act.
Yes.
What is the Equality Act? If you were to just summarize it very briefly, I know it does a lot.
The most simplest way to talk about the Equality Act is that it simply amends the 1964 Civil Rights Act to include sexual orientation and gender identity. So public accommodations is one area.
What's a way that someone who's LGBT could be discriminated in public accommodations currently?
Currently, public accommodations is the whole area of, hotels and motels and
bathrooms and sports teams. Is that?
I say bathrooms, sports teams, athletic events.
Let's get into more specific policy issues. There are some women who say, and I've talked to a few who say this. They say, hey, I'd like some privacy in the bathroom. I'd prefer not to encounter naked penises, frankly. They say even that the penis is a telltale sign that someone is a male. I mean, there are people who kind of really bought into the rumor that only men have penises. How do we account for that? How do you respond to that?
Well, what I would say is that most transgender people that I know, and it's a very, I think, distinct minority of people. It is a very, I think, we're talking not about a lot of people. I think a person who wants to use a woman's bathroom, who identifies as transgender, really does think of themselves as a female. So how we go about trying to, respect their basic right to live, I think will be an important part of this law. And
With the
bathrooms,
law,
well, wait a minute, bathrooms are, where you want to take this conversation instead of the basic right to just life is something that I'm kind of mystified that you're kind of not focusing on first, that we're going straight to the controversy over bathrooms. So, you know what? I think this interview is over.
Yeah.
I think this interview is over.
I just had one last question.
No, the interview's over.
We
Please
want
turn
to
off the
know
cameras.
what is a woman?
Please turn off the cameras.
Excuse me. So we're gonna end the interview. If you guys could please pack up and return the office exactly.
I just wanted to know. I came all this way to know what. They're fair question. I just wanted to know what is a woman.
And you're not gonna find out.
My trip to California isn't providing many answers, but at least I'm making new friends. You worry about kids walking around out here?
No, because I raised two daughters. They're two of the most well-adjusted adults. They grew up around naked people, and there's been studies that have shown that children raised around non-sexual nudity actually have fewer hang-ups when they're adults.
People do have hang-ups. There's a lot of things hanging right now during this conversation. Can anyone be any gender they want to be? Can a man become a woman if he wants to be?
I leave that. I mean, what people do, that's personal choice. People can live the life they want to. I'm trying to live the life I want to, an authentic life, and
I can see
that's
that.
why I respect other people's rights and to choose what they want to do.
Well, why are you asking a gay man as to what it means to be a woman? You should be asking women what it means to be a woman, especially trans women, what it means to be a woman.
I'm asking all kinds of people. Can anyone have an opinion about it?
Only people who are women. Gay men don't know nothing about what it means to be a woman.
Have you told gay men here in San Francisco that they're not allowed to talk about this?
No. But it's not like I come around and say what a gay man is allowed to be.
So you're saying if you're not a woman, then you shouldn't have an opinion.
Where does a guy get a right to say what a woman is? Women only know what women are.
Are you a cat?
No.
Can you tell me what a cat is?
This is actually a genuine mistake. I am sorry I even came up there.
You want to tell us what a woman is?
Women is.
All right, y'all. Drop us a comment. Let us know how you think or what you feel about this shit. We want to know what you guys think about this because this shit is crazy.
What is a woman? Drop it in the comments.
Let us know. What is a woman? Bye.